Hello, if you're first time here, my name is Miro and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chaos. I am taking care of my pretty large Hoya collection that has gotten a bit out of control and there are many plant chores to do. I already did one video on this where we unfortunately only got to take care of 2 plants. And the plans were much more ambitious. I actually wanted to take care of all of these that are around me, which we will do today, but I sort of had to split it into 2 videos because I don't want these to be like 5 hours long. So we are going to continue today. I will put all of these videos in some sort of a playlist. I don't intend for this to be necessarily a series, but I think there might be some useful information, some chaos, some cuckoo behavior and stuff, So you can look, I think it will be easier to sort of access some of these videos that way. We are continuing, and the plans that we have today, the plants and the plans. Sometimes when they say plant and plan, can't really hear the difference, can you? We have Hoya EPC 1015, we have a couple of Hoyas for my window, which are Priktai and AH041. They look a little bit bleached, I will get into it. We have Ricardo, Elephant, and Joy. I don't know how many that plant is. It does not seem possible, but hey. Doesn't sound realistic. These are all in PON, and I intend to transition them in a regular organic mix. And for most of them, I will try to essentially maintain the size of the pot in which they are in, because I do expect some root loss. Some of these are in larger pots, and I would like to downsize those. So we will try. I don't know how successful I will be with that. A lot of them do have new growth, which is not ideal, but hey, it is what it is. I also prepared these trellises for them. I'm going to put most of them, I think, on bamboo hoops, though I might change my mind. We shall see. I tend to, as regular viewers know. And the only thing that I did to prepare these is sort of using electrical tape. I covered the bottom of these bamboo trellises. I do not think I have enough. I only have 5. Do I have 1, 2, 3? I do have 6 plants and 5 bamboo hoops. Did I go to elementary school is the question. I really cannot count sometimes. It's quite concerning. So we will have to make 1 more of these, and I will use zip ties to fasten them to the pots. I just find that much better. I don't like when trellises are unstable in pots. I tried to glue them with hot glue gun. It kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. And I do like the ability to just, pick them up by the trellis and be able to do this. I did want to start with my hair down to sort of introduce myself in the best way possible. And now we are just gonna tie it and start with the first plant. And with coffee, of course. All right. I think all of these plants, aside from one, all of these plants bloomed. I noticed last night that Ricardo bloomed too, but I don't have a photo of that one. I don't know what I was doing when I wasn't looking. EPC 1015, which is this one, did not even attempt. This was admittedly not a good grower for me until very recently, when I finally think it sort of got used to and established in PON. So naturally, we will yank it out. And since this is here, let's just start with that one. So you can sort of see what is going on here. Sorry for the extra frame there. I will put some gloves on. My hands are extremely dry from dealing with PON, with substrates. And honestly, they feel like sandpaper. I do not love wearing gloves, but showering the plants, calcium and etc. in the tap water has completely ruined my skin. Honestly, it's peeling off. I will be left with bones. Let's put the gloves on. Of course, you yourself should definitely grab a plant. Do the plant chore that you are afraid of. And I am afraid of this because this plant, again, took a really long time to establish, EPC 1015 again, which is a cross, I think, with Lambi and, if I'm not mistaken, Vitellina. I don't know why I didn't write it, but I will write on the screen if I'm mistaken. We do have a baby leaf growing here, so this is not an ideal time to do this, but hey, at least I can keep my fingers crossed and hope that this plant keeps growing. I will keep these. Sometimes I discover mealybug infestation underneath these Velcro tapes. I will keep them on the side because we might need them, but because I think I'm going to move to a different trellis, they may not be useful. And I'm not abandoning tower trellises, but some of these Hoyas have not grown the best on a tower trellis. I don't really like the look. It's not that they haven't grown the best. It's just that I personally don't like the way that they have looked. And I will just try not to break anything here. I am sort of hoping for a root system that's not too big, even though that's not what you would hope for. But I do really want to move this to a smaller pot. These take up a lot of space. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with these big pots. And the reason why it is in a big pot is, as you grow in PON, the roots grow so big and they grow much faster than the part on the top that I just ended up repotting them, and this is where we arrived. Also, trellises, these are very unstable in PON for some reason. I will just put this somewhere where it's not gonna bother me, and there is no such place. Let's just see what these roots are about. I don't see any roots on the outside of the pot, so that's good. This has been watered. I think all of these have been relatively freshly watered to sort of ease this. All right. So most of that root system does not look terrible, actually. I don't know if you can see, this is a DIY PON. And I'm not going to remove PON entirely, that's not my goal. My goal here is to remove as much as I can gently with my hands and essentially move it to an organic mix. And I don't care if some of the PON is attached to the roots, but I just don't want to grow in PON anymore. And one tip here is don't lift the plant too much. PON is heavy. You're just risking more damage to the roots. I think one of the reasons why I had some issues with repotting from PON to PON, my PON video, I don't know if people are not paying attention to what I'm saying or what exactly is going on, but people seem to think that I had issues with PON because I transitioned a plant from organic mix to PON. That's not what's happening. What happened is I repotted from a smaller pot to a larger pot in PON, and the plants were more than ready for a repot. They were root bound, there were plenty of roots coming out of the pot. And with the transition, they tanked. The roots died back. My theory here is that PON is very heavy and that there were a lot of small damages made to the root system, which is actually what makes these transitions a little bit more difficult as well. I expect there will be root loss. Every time in any inorganic mix that I repot, I find that there are issues with the roots after. It happened with LECA many times as well. But they do bounce back sometimes. Some Hoyas, unfortunately, ended up being more sensitive, like my variegated Valiniana, or that's actually Cipidagensis. That one did not do well. So anyway, now I'm lifting as I have less PON, and I'm trying to sort of gently remove what I can. But again, I'm not going to go wild. And I think with this Hoya, it will help that we have this sort of main root that's stronger than the smaller ones. I also think that obviously some Hoyas with sensitive roots, like in that video, Sigillatis, Valiniana, those Hoyas in general have more sensitive roots, so it doesn't help. This is a more robust root system, so I think this will be it will take the transition much better. I just had to clarify that because I see people misunderstanding that video. I mean, it's fine. I'm not trying to convince anyone not to grow in PON. Again, as I said in that video, grow in whatever you want. Don't care. I will not grow in PON, and that's it. And I have to explain it because I'm doing this in front of the camera. I don't have to, but I think it would be really suspicious if I grew in PON for 2 years, or I think 2 years, and suddenly you don't see PON anywhere, I don't mention it, and then, it's gonna raise a lot of questions. So better explain it while doing it, and I have evidence to show you. Like in my last video, you saw Hoya Paradisa, what those roots looked like, and what PON looked like. And it doesn't happen with all the pots. It doesn't happen with all the pots. This one, it didn't happen with. That one, it did. So it's just hit and miss. It's a hit and miss, and I don't like hit and miss. I think that's enough for this Hoya. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I actually have a small pot for this. So I will have to go and wash. I actually don't even know if she's going to fit into a smaller pot. I intended this one for one of my carnosas, but she just got mugged. Obviously, I will not be adding a lot of organic mix, but yes, that will fit. Okay, the next step here is to remain calm and gentle and drill this spot. Now, of course, I don't have enough of these spots, so I couldn't prepare really the rest of them. Otherwise, I would not bore you with this, so I'm going to just show one, and for the rest of them, I'm not going to show you what I do, but it will be enough. You will see everything from this. Also, it is in my previous videos. I don't have enough pots, so as I repot, I will have to wash out these because I'm obsessed with cleaning the pots, and then I will fasten the trellises, etc. Essentially, I put the bamboo hoop inside. I will zip tie it in 2 spots on one side and 2 spots on the other. We do need 4 holes for that. So my iron is almost ready. I also mentioned this in another video, but I do have to repeat because people may not watch. Another reason why I put the electric tape is to help the zip ties gain some friction, or I guess something like that, because the trellis can slide out otherwise. But if you put something like electrical tape, it will stay in place better. So you can even hang it. I actually use a version of this as a hanging pot. I think we're getting here near to the point where it's hot enough. I do like to put the zip ties in first and not close them completely. It makes it easier, and I did learn this by doing the hard way 5 or 6 times, and then I was like, wait, why don't I just do this the easy way? Put the zip ties in and then put the trellis in, you know, fasten it, and then you only get to tighten it at the end. But yeah, sometimes for the most logical solutions, you need a while. So that's what it looks like, and then I will put the trellis in. That trellis is inside, it's quite secure, a little bit crooked, but who isn't? So let's get my mix out. I was debating to pot some of these in just pure cocoa husk, which I do love, but I think that I will do this one in my regular Hoya mix. Oh my gosh, that was heavy. I made a batch of this, a big batch of this last night. You have seen me make and use this mix before. It is bark, cocoa husk, pumice, and moss. For the regular viewers, I do apologize that I repeat over and over and over, but as we get new people, and we do get new people, about 10 of you each day, that should be higher, so subscribe. Oh, I broke that. Crap. Well, subscribe because I broke my hair clip, my Hoya clip. It's not the first one. I actually stepped on one the other day. It was extremely painful and it pulverized as well. I'm sorry that I'm repeating some of these things, but not everyone watches all the videos, and then new people come in and we need to repeat some of the things. I love this mix. The amount of moss is very minimal and it does not cause rot. I mean, moss, in fact, does not cause rot. You just have to get a little bit better at using it. So let's repot this Hoya. Gently place her in the pot. This is your new home and you shall adore it. It is a bit tighter than the old home, but we all have to downsize, except of me and my collection, which is still not downsizing. Okay. All right, it's a bit tight, but I think it's nothing we can't handle. Unfortunately, there's no space. Some of these roots have been a little bit exposed in ponds, so I'm trying to get them in, but it's a bit hard. I do like to stabilize the plant a little bit before I finish repotting, just so she stays in place. Hopefully, this is going to be successful. Again, I do really love this plant a lot. I'm not a big fan that this is now gonna slow her down, but hey, what can we do? So let's start with the trellising. We do have a new vine here, which I do hope does not die back, because you know, you, the regular viewer who has to listen to me complain every single time, you do know that I do not love a vine that dies back. I will use that broken clip here. Ooh, ooh. Oh, oh. Shush! I do like to hoop the Hoya a little bit when I do this. You know, I find that it helps. I find it a little bit more pleasing. I mean, they would naturally wrap around anyway, so... Oh, and I did burn one of those leaves by accident, as we can see. Don't know if it was hot coffee or what, but sometimes mysterious burns happen, and that is one of them. Oh, we got a little bit of sap from that leaf. Don't give me lip. There's more sap. She's giving me the lip, guys. I'm essentially trying to make her face nicely, but she is refusing. I'm doing this for your own beauty, so you might as well cooperate. I don't actually know if this has the exact habit as Lambi. Hoya Lambi does not want to be trellised. Hoya Lambi wants to grow up. And judging by some of these vines, I suspect that she actually does, and that she might not appreciate this trellising at all. I will turn her. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty, actually. I mean, I'm not surprised. I did decide to like her, but let's try to get these vines going up and arrange them. That's okay. Hopefully we get the leaves here. I maybe could have gotten a little bit lower with one so another vine can root in. But I think she's not long enough. I think she would be quite short. Let me just check actually how big this vine is. Yeah, let me try to get her to root, because it wouldn't be the most catastrophic thing to have a vine that is rooted. I actually have parts of my trellis from last night that I cut, so I will use that to pin it down. Let's do one more. And then I will cover it with a little bit more mix. Not too much, but just a little bit. So it's actually covered, and let's hope that this, and because this grows in the tent, it should relatively fastly root. Tag is back, and this one is done. She actually looks much nicer. She looks much nicer in real life. She is capable of a lot of sun stressing, really nice coloration on the leaves, but this one is not in enough light for that to happen. But I'm sort of glad, actually, with the result. So we can move on to the next one. The next one I will do is Hoya Elephant. That one also makes me nervous because that is a particularly slow plant for me. But I do hope I can get her to grow a little bit faster after this. And then I think I will do two more that make me more nervous. And then the last two don't really make me nervous, Ricardo and Joy, because they grow well, but Priktai H041. Oh. So actually, I think the way that I will approach this one is I will leave her on the trellis. I don't want to break any of the leaves. You can see this is definitely from coffee. I took it out one time and there was hot coffee next to it. I didn't spill the coffee, but it was like right here, and it's from the steam, I believe. I took it out to take photo of the flower. So that's a little bit sad, but hey. Okay, so this one, yeah, not the best grower, but I think she also needs to be treated for mites. So I will leave her on the trellis. I did want to get rid of her at one point because of her poor growth, but honestly it might not be the mites. I often find that the reason for poor growth is just the state of the root system, the poor state of the roots, which we might have with this one. So let's just see. Yeah. State of the roots, not the best. Of course, some people will say that this is because of LECA on the bottom. I can assure you it's not, because I have had LECA in some other pots on the bottom and it didn't do any damage. So it's not because of that. But yeah, the roots in this one are not great. I actually now think I need to somehow lay her flat. Sorry if you cannot see this one all that well. I'm trying to get rid of some of this mix. So the root system is obviously not the best, and it's good that we're taking care of this. I don't think that this one particularly loved growing in inorganic mixes, whatever it was. It would be best to restart this now, to reroot it, but I'm going to try not to, and sort of hope that she is just going to grow okay. The reason why I want to avoid restarting her is because she hasn't been the fastest grower for me. But maybe I just really should. You know what? I think I'm not going to restart her because I don't have the space. Though, believe me when I tell you, this is probably one that we will restart later. But yeah, let's just check some of those main roots. Maybe if the main roots are alive, we can get something decent going. So this one is for monitoring. We will definitely monitor this one, see how it goes. The leaves feel firm, so that's interesting. That means that there definitely is a working part of this root system, but this is not great at all. So what I will do now is I will wash her pot and drill the pot, fasten the trellis, and then we will come back as I repot her. All right, we are back. This is definitely a big trellis for this Hoya, because we have seen that she is not that big, but to stay optimistic, let's remain optimists. Here I will give her that trellis. It could easily go in something similar size. I mean, she's kind of big, kind of big. Could have been probably much bigger. Organic mix for her. And let's hope for a speedy recovery. Let's hope that root system is still good. I will not use the self-watering function for a moment here because I'm just not sure how they will take it. I would prefer to water it manually and then to wait for the new roots, and then to switch to self-watering to slowly like adjust it. And it's not really just me with this PON issue. Again, a lot of growers have said that they have experienced issues. I get so many comments from really, really good growers who agree with me, and that's fine. Like, I'm so happy if it works for you, but I just, you know, we talked about this before with so many other things, and it always baffles me when someone comes to that video, to my PON video, and is very negative. And you know, some people said, oh, it's clearly because you're dumb and you don't know how to use PON. And then they said, you know, the way to use PON is according to LECA, and this is not LECA PON, by the way, that I'm using. This is Miro PON, the one that I made. Clearly, you know, the way to use it is you're supposed to repot the plant with the mix that it came in and then put it in PON. And I, again, don't know what it is, but people are listening. I rooted those Hoyas in PON. They were cuttings that I rooted in PON. And they were always in PON from day one, and they still failed. It didn't happen with all of them, but the more time passes by, I'm seeing more and more issues. So please listen, if you can. Okay, this is actually not looking that bad. I'm not angry. I am angry at the state of that root system. Now the next one, let's prepare one more quickly, and then I will, in the break for lunch, I will make one more trellis, and then I think the last three are going to be easy. I mean, this is also going to be easy. This is AH041. It has been watered recently. It looks very, very bleached. It is in my southeast facing window, and she is getting way too much sun, just way too much sun. And the sun has been really intense in that window. She used to like it, not this year. Every year, I think. Okay, that elephant fell, so we need to make sure it doesn't. The way to do that is to put it in the cover pot, because that one is actually stable. Every year, it seems to me that our conditions change and get harsher and harsher. The summers get harsher, the sun gets harsher, and I think this year it's been particularly bad. And they have been bleached quite a lot, unfortunately. This one does have a good root system. She clearly does not mind PON. I will try to get her out without losing those roots, but the chances of that are minimal. So let's try to just dip it out. And for all of you who are going to suggest that I should cut the pot, that is out of the question. These are pots, they're not terribly expensive, but they are good quality pots, and I don't want to waste plastic like that. I never had issues rerouting Hoyas, and I'm not gonna start now having those issues, so it's fine. If I have to cut the roots, I would do that rather than cut the plastic. It doesn't mean that I love plastic more than the roots. Obviously, I love plants the most, but I'm not gonna waste a pot that's gonna end up in a landfill. I'm not cutting any pots. Unless they have been used so many times that they have lost all of their quality, I guess. But otherwise, no. Because I can root almost, or maybe unless it's an orchid, because orchids, I never would cut the roots unless they're obviously rotten. But come on for this. I see quite a decent root system. This is just not something that I can untangle. It's matted, so I have to cut it off to get the plant out, and that's okay. Trimming the roots also, guys, is a practice that is normal in growing plants. It's a normal practice. It's nothing unheard of. I have many books on, I mean, not many, I have several books on, growing plants, horticulture, that are very old, and they always suggest with root-bound plants to actually cut the roots. That spiral that they make, cut it off and establish the normal root growth. So it's not a big deal. I think we get much more precious with these plants than we need to. If they were so sensitive, again, you can see how matted that is on the bottom. And this is not from LECA, you saw it in a pot with PON only, that muddy quality that I do believe is due to lava rock. But we get so precious with these plants, and if you think about it, it does not make sense. Nature is harsh. If these plants were so sensitive, I mean, obviously there are some that are, in the habitats that they have, the balance is easily destroyed, and so there goes the species. But a lot of these plants are well adapted, they can take a lot of things. They're meant to survive. Again, I think the majority of plants are quite resilient. Again, there are obviously exceptions to everything, but the majority of them are resilient. Hoyas in particular, most of them are weeds. Come on. So let's not get super precious here. My soldering iron is making smoke. Nice. Must be a good sign. So what I will do now is I will make myself lunch, make this pot, put the trellis in, wash the pot, put the trellis in, and I will come back to put this Hoya back into the pot. Or actually, I think I might put this one off camera so the roots don't dry out too much while I have my lunch, but I will show you the end result. We don't have to see every single one. And then we have 3 more after lunch. All right, we're back from our break. I did take a cutting of that plant. This is for one of my friends. I'm supposed to root this plant. So I took one cutting that will go here, and hopefully I will remember to put it in a prop box. I did shower and water the plant, and this is what she looks like. The trellising, honestly, is not amazing, but it is what it is. I did the best that I could, and we're gonna leave it at that. I do believe I will want to treat her for mites. We might do that later, because with treatments for mites, whether it be sulfur or whether it be oil, you do have to be very careful with the temperature. And currently it is very hot. The next one I'm going to repot is Hoya Priktai. This one has been growing better, still something to be desired for. So I do want to move her to an organic mix. This one might have a root system where we can get this out because it's not too tangled, though I do see some light rot. I do have to get my gloves back on. All right. I do believe we need to move this a bit because we are getting into other plants. So let's just check. Some of those roots look fine. Some of them look, some of these are matted with the wick, which don't really know that we can solve that. I'm going to try to take it out, even though not the most amazing roots there. Yeah, this genuinely cannot go through. So, to help it out, we shall be saying goodbye. Oh. For example, this is a good example. There was LECA on the bottom of this one. None of it. What a great example. And I'm thankful to see it. This looks clean. This looks clean. The roots are good. LECA on the bottom of your PON does not influence it. You can see that's clean compared to what we have seen. So no, my dear people who would like to blame me for issues of the PON, it's not LECA on the bottom of the pot. Next, this is a good root system. I don't have any complaints. This is a good root system, but not all of them will be this good, as we have seen. If you want to cite user error, what you can say, yeah, I haven't been maybe staying on top of my watering, but that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I moved away from LECA, is because it is not forgiving if you underwater. And some of these organic substrates are a little bit more forgiving than even PON is. You don't get the root dieback. You can get dry rot in anything, but I think that, or it has been my impression over the past 5 years, that it is the inorganic mixes that sort of make this easier to happen. Before that, I never grew in inorganic mixes, and I just never even really faced dry rot. I mean, I've been growing plants since 2000 and, oh, I don't know. Can we count? When was I in the 6th grade? From then, I'm 32 now. I think you're in the 6th grade when you are 13. If I'm 32 now, that's 19 years ago, so since 2024 minus 19. What is that, 2005? Right? I think that's 2005. So I've been growing since 2005 at least, and never have I had dry rot. I mean, I found out about the dry rot in inorganic mixes. I'm not again saying it cannot happen, but I do believe it is a little bit more likely to happen in these, especially in LECA, as LECA is particularly unforgiving. So no, I'm not new to plants either. I'm just saying all of this inorganic stuff, I don't see the benefit for myself. If it helps you, keep using it. I'm not saying don't use it. Go ahead, knock yourself out. I'm not judging or anything like that. I think it's great you found something that works. I did too, many years ago, before I started to do this. The only reason why I actually switched to inorganic is because of the pandemic, because then it became difficult for me to get moss, which is one of the vital ingredients in my mix, with moss bark, pumice and cocoa husk, and I couldn't get moss. But now I can get it back again, so I'm like really switching back to what used to work. This is gonna be a long video. I've been repotting for most of the afternoon. It's Saturday, probably a couple of weeks before you're gonna see this, August 17th, and this whole day has been filled with plant chores. I've been watering, now repotting, filming, so let's just get roots out of this. And I'm gonna go and wash this and see you in a moment. All right, so I prepared one more pot. I actually also made the trellis, so I'm going to put the mix inside and repot this Hoya Priktai. Now, there you go. Good luck adjusting. You need to get her to rotate a little bit so she's closer to the actual trellis. Oh, there we go. Don't really know how that happened, but here we are, and I will accept it. I actually could probably propagate that. It's more in my way than it's helpful. This is tricky. I'm gonna fasten it here on the top, which I will fix later. I just need a temporary hold on that until I can do something with the bottom. I would love to actually make this one go this way. Can we do that? I think so, because then we at least get the vines on both sides. Since this tip died back, I am going to fold it, leave it on. I know that I mostly in videos do cut those, but today I will be merciful and leave it on. It's a bit slightly nicer. Actually, I'm not too mad at it. I'm just gonna fill with potting mix. Sorry, this is off to the side. It's just a little bit easier than constantly bringing the plants up there. Okay. I will water that and shower it, and then we will decide. I think it will go back into the window, but I really need to see how to protect them. There is a curtain there, but it's window plants and curtain. I'm going to do two more. We have Ricardo and Joy. I think I will do Joy first, honestly, because she's smaller, and then we will leave Ricardo for the end. Joy, I don't know what roots she has, but since I cut so many of them, yeah, she has a lot of roots. I will have to cut those again. Too many. But that means she's a good grower, and this one has LECA on the bottom, so let's check out this LECA situation. This one also blooms frequently. Honestly, I don't know why I got it. I think what I was really wanting is, did that break? That did break. That also probably broke yesterday, so that's unfortunate. I honestly thought it was gonna be more like Joy Splash. I thought I was gonna get a, I was going for Joy Splash look, but I got the most regular Joy. It wasn't sold as Joy Splash, don't worry, no one tricked me. I was just having faith that maybe that will happen naturally on its own. It did not. There is some splash, but it's nothing to write home about. Though I will say I do like this one. It blooms very similar to Hoya, I think AH041. It blooms very similar to that one, but I do prefer how Hoya Joy blooms. The flowers are larger, but the coloration is more interesting on the other one. Yeah, I do need to cut those roots, so let me just do that. And in my opinion, cutting the roots is better than pulling and damaging. So just do a clean cut and you're done. Also another thing, all of these Hoyas in PON and self-watering, they do tend to make larger root systems than they... Oh, I caught the wick, didn't I? Oh boy. They do tend to make larger root systems than maybe they usually would. And that is because of the presence of the reservoir, and roots are going sort of for that water. But honestly, these plants, because sometimes you will have a small plant that develops abnormally huge root system, and that's just not how it happens. It should be proportionate somewhat to the top. And I see in self-watering a lot of disproportion. That's also why a lot of us, I think it needs to be repotted. That's because there was water at the bottom. And this one is stuck. So probably the issue is that some of the roots are actually matted into this. Okay. So once again, you can see some dirt there, but not a lot in this particular example. And you can actually see this is also quite clean on the bottom. She keeps catching onto something quite clean on the bottom there. So once again, no rotten roots in this one. There is LECA there on the bottom. No rotten roots. Obviously, I will keep you updated because I think this is very relevant for people who want to transition away from PON and not perhaps restart their plants. I will let you know how this is going, and maybe, then you will know if you should do this or not. Though, honestly, if you ask me, I think it's not the smartest idea to go this route. I think restarting is probably safer, but here we are. I'm going to actually drill this on camera, melt this on camera. It's not really drilling, is it? Oh, because I had a couple of thoughts while I was washing the pots, what I wanted to add and what I wanted to say. You have seen in one of my previous videos where I took out that Hoya albiflora, and she is in one of these pots too. And you saw that the root system was pretty nice. I mean, it was excellent root system. I didn't expect that it would be larger, but it was excellent. And that one was repotted from a smaller one to this. So no really issues root-wise after the repot. Now I told you, I think some of my issues were due to a repot from PON, from smaller pot, where plant was in PON, to a larger pot, where plant remained in PON. So that was the issue. And some people said, well, am I using self-watering pots? These are self-watering pots. I think that is obvious. They do have a wick. Not all self-watering pots have a wick. They sometimes have a bottom that goes into the reservoir. So also they don't really need to have a wick, but they are self-watering pots. And this has happened in more than one type of self-watering pots. Now, one of the things that I believe personally has happened too is because this is a DIY PON, it's my own PON, it's a little bit heavier because particles are larger. Pumice is larger, and I do believe that even my lava rock is slightly larger than the one in regular Lechuza PON. I do, again, need to add, I don't really use Lechuza PON, too expensive to ship here. So I made my own PON with pumice, lava rock, and zeolite. And the experience has been what you have seen in that PON video that I made. All the initial good reviews I got, from my subscribers, and then more and more people are coming and who are saying, oh, obviously that's your fault, because PON is something that apparently you're not allowed to negatively comment on, which actually one of the new comments that I got, actually this person agreed with me, and they said, yeah, PON is not something that you can negatively comment on because people get really upset, because everyone loves it, or so many people love it. Which is what I know one creator experienced who grows orchids, and when she abandoned LECA. She was growing at LECA at one point, and then she said, it doesn't work for me, I don't want to grow in it. That creator is one of the largest, if not the largest orchid creators, Miss Orchid Girl. She also moved back to organic. But people went wild there for a moment. I did not witness this firsthand, but a friend told me, because she was, I wasn't watching YouTube content on plants at that time, I suppose. But yeah, people who are into semi-hydro, who are into these inorganic mixes, which really do sound lovely as an idea. I really like the idea behind it, it's for something to be sustainable. We do not, however, we can't forget about mining, which is pretty relevant actually here currently because of presence of Rio Tinto, but that's a different thing. Anyway, people in the inorganic community get really upset when you say something about inorganic mixes, even though maybe that's not even a critique, it's just like, hey, this doesn't work for me, I'm not gonna grow in it. If it works for you, great. I don't know why people get like this, it's not clear to me. I don't think you personally as someone who uses inorganic mixes, you're not gaining anything from having more people use it, nor less. So it's really odd, like you don't have a personal stake, you're not the owner of Lechuza. So I don't know, it's just really crazy to me that people got so upset for no reason, but okay. I mean, I didn't get many mean comments, and I think it's still not super disliked. I think it has definitely over 90% likes, so it's fine. But, you know, there are a couple of vocal people who are like, obviously, it's our own fault. Because what you're actually supposed to do is not remove anything from the roots and then put it in PON. And to those people I say, you completely missed the point of the video. I mean, they also blamed the pots, etc. Again, these pots I have used and I still use with many plants. My undulata grows perfectly well in it, but she is in organic mix. Though she also lost her roots, by the way. That's one of the plants that I also restarted. That completely rotted and I thought it was my fault. But then more and more things started to happen. And, you know, even now, the more that I check, the more rot I see. So I just think, for whatever reason, for my conditions, it doesn't work. Maybe because my humidity is very high, and it stays high in winter. Maybe it's that. Again, some Hoya growers, good season growers, Swedish growers, that the issue is PON stays too wet for Hoyas. I don't know. You can, again, grow in it, enjoy in it, but do not judge me for repotting into organic mixes. And hey, if everything works out for you in PON, that's great, because then no one has to ask me about the mixes, and we can just talk about other aspects of care, such as temperature, light, and figure that out. So to get back to my PON, my particle size was larger. So I think during the repot, what was happening is the roots were getting really damaged. I think maybe that contributed to some of the root rot afterwards. I did see that Kaylee Ellen has used larger size for her PON for aeroids, and I don't remember having issues with aeroids when repotting aeroids, because I had a bunch of aeroids in the, you know, from 2020 to 2020, let's say 3. I was growing and selling them, and I grew a lot of them in PON, repotted them too. I don't remember. I do remember some root failure. They didn't love it either, but I don't think it was that dramatic like with some of the Hoyas. Because these can sometimes get real dramatic. I do believe those took it a little bit better. I'm gonna move this behind me, or next to me. And we have one more, which is Ricardo. I am on purpose saying that with a rolling R. Hoya Joy, the tag goes back. Ricardo. Is Ricardo and Alejandro? Alejandro. It's Alejandro, it's Fernando. I don't think there is a Ricardo in Alejandro. The important questions that I ask myself. Okay, this is the last one. I do believe this one has a lot of roots, so we will need to cut them. Yeah, oh, so that's far less. They don't even look in great shape, so Ricardo is gonna lose his roots there. And hopefully only roots and not the wick. After this, I'm not gonna repot anything for the rest of the day. It's also 5 p.m. I have a couple of videos to edit. I never liked this Hoya on this trellis. No matter how much I tried, she never looked good. Ricardo, por favor. Te lo suplico. Kedvenc Istenem. Mein Gott. Definitely stuck. This one is also in LECA. Yeah, someone is definitely stuck for the wick. I feel it. There is one strong root there, and I think, let's just try to get it. What I'm doing right now, I'm probably gonna cut off my finger. So get ready for blood. For the love of Ricardo. Anyway, see? No issue. That is why I started to put LECA on the bottom, because I thought that that was going to help with some of that issue that I had. And it worked in some pots and some it didn't. Because I had that issue even before putting LECA. That is my solution, actually, my response to that, to all that dust buildup on the bottom. Again, I rinsed all of my ingredients before, obviously using them, before even mixing them in. So as I would get lava rock, pumice, and all of it, I would first rinse, and rinse, and then I would pot the plant and rinse. And then when I saw that after, you know, several tries, when I saw that it's still dusty, I just stopped the first rinse. I just would rinse then when I repotted or when I put stuff into PON. I don't know how useful that was, but that was what I actually did in the end, because the pre-rinse actually didn't help me out much. I do believe that my soldering iron is dangerously hot, so honestly, this is not the best way to do this. Maybe next time I will take all the plants out first. Oh my gosh, that is still smoking. Can you, I don't know, I don't think you can see. If you see like smoke coming from here, it is from the soldering iron. Like, I don't know if camera picks up. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that. You can definitely see that. Not a great idea. Don't do this in unventilated spaces. I had to do this for a video because if I go outside, you will be able to hear traffic and everything that you're not supposed to. Then people are going to be annoyed. But honestly, I think my life over that, right? So probably next time I will do this either outside or I will pre-prepare. I don't know. We'll think about it. I also don't have super much time to do this. I mean, I would like to do this while it's still warm, because roots are growing better now than they're gonna grow in 2 months. So honestly, the best time to do this was 2 months ago, probably, like May, which was also 3 months ago. Then it would be better because then we have a full growing season. Of course, inside it's a little bit different too, because, you know, again, the Hoyas are inside and it doesn't get that cold, but yeah, they can still tell a bit the difference. I actually do get more growth on some of them in winter, which is interesting, but I also do get a bunch of growth in summer. I will show you why I'm doing this right now. I think I have a theory. I have a theory and an idea that I can fit more Hoyas like this, because versus the tower trellis, I can put them really close. See? I can put them really, really close. So I think I can fit more Hoyas like this, but also, hear me out, I think I can maybe eliminate the shelf, have some Hoyas on the bottom, and then hang these. Look, I can pack at least 50% more Hoyas like that. What happens when they all tangle? That I don't know. That I don't know. They tangle even when they're further apart. But I am thinking this is going to help me save some space. Okay, so this is finished. All I need to do is get this off a trellis, this beautiful Ricardo. Oh my gosh, the people that I ordered the hoop from, don't know if I mentioned this in the video, they were like literally concerned. I know I said this on Patreon. They were literally concerned for me. They were like, hello, we're calling to check if you made a mistake, because they ordered 30 of them and they come in packs of 3. So I ordered 10 packs of 3. So for 30 trellises, right? And they were like, did you mean to order 10 trellises? Because that's like 3 packs. But then she was trying to explain to me it's not really just 3 packs, but since there are 3 in a pack, and I'm like, no, I was going for 30 trellises. And all she said was like, oh, okay, rude, rude. My gosh, when they see now, because I'm gonna order 50 trellises, I honestly need even more than that. And I'm ordering them all now because I do believe that they run out of stock as the winter approaches. They're not gonna restock on them, obviously. The winter is coming. like in Game of Thrones. And they're just not gonna have this garden material. This is not a store that always carries this. So I better get what I can now. And I think I said this before, there seems to be no other place that carries those bamboo hoops here, which is odd, but okay. I mean, clearly it's a ploy against me. Now let's finish off with this one, remove some of that mix, and we're gonna be done. And then I have a bunch of cleanup to do. Okay, I think that's the most we're gonna get out of that. It's a pretty big root system, so honestly probably could go into a larger pot, but I'm gonna leave him in this. Let's see, how will we do this? No, Ricardo, how dare you? That was rude. Oh, this one is big. Okay, this one is big. He's a big boy that I'm not really sure how I will trellis. These vines are honestly a bit stiff because they were around that tower, so they got a little bit old. You're still very handsome, Ricardo, but you are a little bit old. Someone actually said in one of the videos that it wouldn't be the worst to just wrap... Oh, I'm actually taking him out of the pot if I do that. I guess we're not going to be able to do that. Sorry, I have to put him down. I'm making this much harder for myself by lifting the plant so you can see it. Honestly, I think this is fine. Like, you can still see something. Someone said in one of the videos, like, using one of those, like a rope to get the vine to conform to the trellis. That's actually a good idea. Not only is it used in bonsai, which someone also said, but if you remember, if you're an IKEA kid, that Australis Lisa is often actually trellised like that. Well, Ricardo is actually going to look very nice, it seems. I do wonder, let me know how many of you still grow in PON. I want to know. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I just want to know how many of you still grow in PON. And are you going to be affected? Do you think that my advice is no longer going to be useful because I don't grow in PON? Will you just abandon me because I don't grow in PON? I can write a song about it. Will you still love me when I'm no longer growing in PON? That was so original. I mean, in a way it is original because all songs are about love. And have you ever heard a song about PON? I don't think you have. I'm a little bit bummed out that I didn't get to see the bloom, and when I looked at it last night and I saw there was a peduncle, I'm like, oh yeah. And I think in one of the videos I even made a list of Hoyas that are about to bloom and I wrote him down. And I just forgot. Not even a list will help me. And are these trellises a little bit too small? Yeah, kinda. It doesn't leave the plant much room to grow, I guess. But we do also need to limit Miro. I need to limit myself with how much I will allow some of these Hoyas to get big. They simply cannot all become the huge specimens. And I think for something like Ricardo, which is not one of my favorites, but it is a pretty plant. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's actually quite hot. I think this is like the max size that I can allow. Because again, there are many other Hoyas I would like to get big. Coincidentally, I don't think those are gonna get that big, but okay. And these, I think I will need to start cutting back a little bit more radically. He is repotted. He's looking nice. I actually think I can clip that here. Even though I said I won't. But because now we have this vine that sort of isn't trellised all the way, I think this actually could look good. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna go and water them now, clean this up, and return hopefully a little bit later for a sign off, since there's a lot of cleanup to do. So it's probably gonna be like 2 hours, to be quite honest with you. That is it for today. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I will see you soon in the next video, and we shall continue with plenty plant chores. So I'm signing off. I don't think I'm gonna put these in the tent just yet. So I have to clear up some space here because I would like to put them in a shelf where there's nothing else so I can monitor them better. So I kind of have to clean that tent up a bit, but that's not going to be that interesting. I will see you in something that is equally or even much more interesting next time. So thank you for watching and bye-bye. I would like to take a moment to thank all of my patrons for their incredible support. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. My 2 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenthal, Amber Clear, Anne Margaret Moyne, Angela Bernard, Angela Parrish, Anna P. and C. Anochka K. Aspen Drake, Betsy, Brett Noble, Candy Taft, Karen, Catherine Molina, Connie Pagano, Daniela Danube Daniels, Daria Kaminska, Deborah Violet, Delia Heredia, Deanne Sikorsky, Edith W., Erin Keenan, Eleni Saxon, Ellen M. Mortal, Farah, Ferdianto Satiel, Catherine Moss, Gina Geiset, Gina Radovic, Go Green Tropical, Grosset's Kyle, Heather Uppingham, Hoji Scott, Yana Griffin, Jessica Chia, Jonas Bayer, Hjort Larson, Joshua Davis Riley, Jovan Denot, Kara, Catherine P., Casey Gross, Callie Gallagher, Kelso, Kimberly Polka, Kiwi Mochi, Christy Ehrlich, Ellen Berg, Lee Mooney, Lisa Mary MPLS, Lucas Erchevisky, Mandy Milliken, Marcel Har, Maria Stein, Marina Yarmolich, Mars B., Marty Miller, Mary Rose, Melissa Walker, Michael Curley, Michelle Heron, Nicole Ferranti, Mirka Grun-Roos, MJW, Moa Edmond, Nelly Agni Habasu, Nicole Moreau, Nina Nguyen, Anita Macy, Odette, PJ Plan Druid, Rachel Peterson, Sandra Cornelia, Sherry Kumar, Sophia Rian, Stephanie H2O, Tessa Martins, Tia B, Trista Bailey, Tristan Thomas, Wendy Rossman, Xenia Green, Youth the Volumut, Zaira Rivera, Zordrama, and Zlokop Niponi. A big thank you to my $3 patrons, Angelina Farnan, Kilon Constance, Daryl De Rosario, Eden Corlett, Catherine Parsons, Lindsay Ann, Mary H, Monica Wykers, Nella Nerdy Kathy, Syke Zera, Rebecca C, Renee Church, Ringlov, Tangwat Nasir Cool, Wendy Foreman. And a thank you to my $1 patrons, one anonymous patron, Elise Borlin, Brandon Pacheco, Couture Helvetica, Emilia Bronson, Jamie Arsenoth, Jolie Sullivan, Kayla Vavra, Kelly Ash, Chris Perez, Lauren at Tugboat Plants, Lorian Subramaniam, Luzmin Fernandez, Neely Spicer, Olivia Chinmuller, Pacific NW Plant Lady, and Tracy the Eye Biller.